Hey guys, welcome back to another book video. I am genuinely so excited to film this because I've been consistently obsessed with reading books for almost a year. I started it back up last June, but sometimes I get in these moods. Give me a moose. Sometimes I get in these moods where it's the only thing I watch on TikTok. I started following a bunch of people on Bookstagram, so now I'm finally like part of that community and seeing what those people are reading. The only thing I watch on YouTube is book videos. If you don't watch Sarah Carioli, I don't know how to say her last name, or Destiny Sidwell, you need to watch them. They're the only people I've been watching, and we like started a little group chat. It's so cute, it's so fun. So last month I didn't have anything on my mind that I wanted to read, and this month I have so many things that I want to read, and that just makes it so much more exciting. So I wanted to share it with you even though we're already like a week into May. So here are some things that I want to read. I'm going to go out of order because I've already read 5 of these books. So let's start over here. Okay, here's one you've probably heard of because it's by Taylor Jenkins Reid. You can literally see the tabs in this. That's another thing I'm trying this month is tabbing. I'm gonna try tabbing because it's cute and I feel like it'll make me more engaged while I read. But this is One True Loves. I was never interested in this because I thought the cover was ugly, but now I think the cover is cute. So it's kind of weird how if you just see something over and over again, you start to like it better. This is a crazy story about a girl who falls madly in love with her high school sweetheart. They get married, they're so happy, and then he gets onto a helicopter and it goes down and they never find the helicopter or the people on it, so he's just presumed dead. So she has to move on with her life, and 3 years later, she starts to fall in love with someone else, and all of a sudden she gets a phone call from her husband who she thought died that he is actually alive. Not a spoiler, sounds like it is, but it's not. And then you're watching her journey as she meets back up with her husband who she hasn't seen in 3 years, and she has to decide between this new fiance or her old husband. Crazy story. Since this is a TBR, I'm supposed to not know what happens in it, and I'm supposed to say I'm so excited to read it, but I actually already did. But you will see my review for it in the May reading wrap up, and I am very excited to review it for you. Taylor Jenkins Reid, everyone. Okay, next. This is one I really haven't seen that much about. I don't know how I found this book to buy. I feel like it was recommended on Goodreads, but I thought the cover was so cute. This is Meet Me at Midnight by Jessica Pennington. Here's the cover. Since it's May, I want to get into more summery books, and this one is about 2 star swimmers who are forced to spend their summer together on a lake. It actually sounds really cheesy. I mean, it is a YA, but usually they're not that cheesy. It says that Sydney and Asher, these 2 pro swimmers, spend their entire summers pranking each other. Potentially could be very cheesy, I don't know. But it's the summer after their senior year. So like they're graduated from high school, it can't be too bad. But then their pranking goes too far and both families get kicked out of their dream summer lake houses. So then they end up joining forces to prank the woman who kicked them out of the house. So I guess it's kind of like a enemies turn joining the same side, but they're spending the summer on a lake house. So that is the setting that I want to read about. And I love when the 2 main characters who are supposed to fall in love are on a mission together, and then it happens really slowly over time. So that's kind of what this sounds like, and it just looks so cute and summery. So hopefully it's good. I'll let you know. Next up we have Swear on This Life by Renee Carlino. I love this cover, and I read her book Before We Were Strangers, which I really liked. I gave it like a 4.5 star, and I saw this on Bookstagram a little bit, and one of the main characters in this is an author, and I love when they're authors. 2 childhood best friends who fall in love. Childhood best friends. Okay, this is such an interesting premise. Basically, we have Emmeline, who is this not failed author, but her career is kind of put on hold while she is a professor, and then she reads this book that is very popular, and it turns out that it's about her own traumatic childhood and childhood best friends to lovers type of trope, and she realizes that the book was written about her own life. Did I just repeat that twice? She reads this really famous book, it ends up being about her own life, which means this must be the child from her childhood friends to lovers life, and so now she's on a mission to find him, I guess? So yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Colleen Hoover said that she read it in 1 sitting, and I feel like Before We Were Strangers kind of gives Colleen Hoover vibes because they're not just happy romances, they have a little bit of a sad trauma to them as well. So this seems very interesting. Okay, next up, this is definitely all because of Sarah Carioli. Pretty sure it's Caroli. I watched this video of hers, which is a reading vlog. I love reading vlogs so much, and she loved this book, Darling Venom by Parker S. Huntington. As you can see, I just started it this morning. I'm like 23 pages in. Look how pretty the pages are too. And I love the cover. Honestly, I feel like nowadays, cover plays such a big role in what I read, unless I just have been recommended the author. Cover can really convince me to read something. But this book, very big trigger warning for suicide, because that is basically how these 2 characters meet at first. You get told this on the back of the book. Basically, Charlotte and Kellen meet on a rooftop because they planned on ending their lives that day, and then they end up convincing each other that they should not do that, and they're going to meet back up every Valentine's Day. And they kept that promise for 3 years until on the 4th year, Kellen did not keep that promise. And then it ends up being a romance between Kellen's older brother and Charlotte. And it's like an enemies to lover type situation. So it starts off very dark and obviously very big trigger warning for this. But after that, I have no idea where this book is gonna go. But Sarah Carioli loved it. I love the cover, seen it on Bookstagram a lot. So I'm gonna give it a go. And I think it's gonna be a very unique story and much more than just a romance. So I'm excited to finish this book. Speaking of covers I don't like, this one is actually not bad, but I am finally going to read a Sarah Dessen book because she is just the queen of young adult romances. And one of her most popular ones, Along for the Ride, is actually being turned into a movie. So if I like this one, I might read that one next. But this one is called The Rest of the Story. And I picked this because she goes away for the summer, and that is one of my favorite things ever. So there's this girl named Emma, and her mom died when she was 12. So she goes to North Lake, which is where her mother's family lives, who she hasn't seen since she was little. And she realizes that her mom grew up in the working class of North Lake while her dad spent time in the wealthy areas of North Lake. And both parts of the town know her as different names and think of her as a different person. And then there's a guy named Rue, who she knew as a child. So I'm hoping this gives me those childhood friends to lovers, because that is one of my favorite tropes ever. There's just something so soulmatey about reconnecting with someone from your childhood. It's so cute. And then it says, when she has to go back home, which side of her, Emma or Sailor, will win out, which is basically like the two names that the two towns knew her by. Love the going away for the summer vibes in a lake area with a childhood friend, hoping it lives up to the hype and that Sarah Dessen does not let me down. Next we have Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I am sure you have seen this everywhere. This little book is like a brick. It's 560 pages. It is all over Book Talk, all over Bookstagram, all over every YouTube reading wrap up. I was not interested in it at all. And then I watched, like I said, I've only been watching book videos. Once you see a book so many times, you just wanna be a part of the community and like be a part of what they're talking about. So I was like, okay, what is this about? It's a small town romance in Virginia in like a little cottage. Love that setting. It's enemies to lovers, which I never really go based off of tropes like that. Like if you say childhood friends to lovers or academic rivals to lovers, then my ears perk up, but usually a trope doesn't really make me think of anything, if that makes sense. But basically there's this girl Naomi who is a runaway bride, and she leaves to go help out her twin sister who just gets into a lot of crime and into a lot of trouble. And so she goes to help her out, and her twin sister ends up leaving her daughter, her 11-year-old daughter, Waylay. So now Naomi has to just take care of Waylay, and she moves to this small town and she ends up falling in love. Enemies to lovers. 560 pages. But I finally read it, and I cannot wait to give you the review of it because I had seen this everywhere. And now I finally read it. Next is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I pre-ordered this on Amazon like months and months and months ago, and it came on like May 2nd or something, and I immediately picked it up and I read it already. But this is Emily Henry's new release. She wrote Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, two books that I love. And obviously every reader gets so excited about a book about other people who love to read. And this one is about a girl named Nora who is a literary agent, and she lives in New York City, and she's super uptight businesswoman, and she has a little sister named Libby who is pregnant and just really wants to spend one-on-one time with her sister. So they go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina, which is a really cute small town setting yet again, and she ends up running into a book editor that she had met a few years ago, and chaos ensues from there. Can't wait to read it. I already did. This one has been sitting on my bookshelf for a very long time. One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I didn't pick it up for so long because I read the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and these two books just give me such similar vibes, but they're actually pretty different. It is still a YA murder mystery, but this one is set in high school, and they're all in detention, and you've got all of the stereotypes of high school. You've got the smart one, the jock, the drug dealer. They're stuck in detention together, and then before they leave, someone dies, and then they're all being framed as the murderer, and you have to figure out who it is, and you're getting every single person's point of view. So I'm glad I bought this and had it on my bookshelf, because sometimes I will just randomly get in the mood for a thriller in between reading a bunch of romance books, which is why I just buy a bunch of books even if I'm not gonna read them yet, because you never know when the mood will strike, and when it does, you have to just immediately pick up the book and read it. So random thriller of the month for me. And then this is the last physical book I have on my TBR, but I still have more books on my TBR. Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. This is her new release. It came out in January, and I don't know why, but sometimes when things are really popular, I just avoid them. And then I go discover them like 6 months later when nobody cares anymore. I'm like, oh my gosh, guys, this was so good. No wonder everyone was talking about it. But I just avoid things with hype. It's really stupid. But also I had just read Heartbones by Colleen Hoover, and I really didn't like that book. Kind of unpopular opinion. So in my mind, I was like, okay, she's been a very inconsistent author for me. I don't know if I'm obsessed with her, but then obviously everyone and their mom read this book in January, and it's about this girl named Kenna who gets out of prison after 5 years, and she comes back to her town to find her daughter, who she never got to meet. But a lot of people in the town do not want her to reconnect with her daughter because of the reason that she went to jail, and so she ends up finding a romance, and things get sticky from there. Yeah, that's all I say. You've probably heard of it already. So I still have way more on my TBR, so I'm gonna go a bit faster since I don't have the physical copies of these, but I have my TBR on my Notion. Something Wilder by Christina Lauren is coming out this month, which I'm so excited about. Christina Lauren wrote The Unhoneymooners and Love in Other Words, which is one of my favorite romances of all time, so I'm very excited about this one. I never read The Soulmate Equation, but Something Wilder looks very cute and summery. I actually have no idea what it's about. Oh yeah, I did read the synopsis for this and I thought it was kind of weird. Oh, I think it's actually a second chance romance. She draws maps to do fake treasure hunts in Red Rock, Utah. That's all I know, kind of confusing. But then I wanna read Winter in Paradise by Elin Hilderbrand. This is also completely because of Sarah Caroli. She gave it 4 stars, and I already wanted to read a new Elin Hilderbrand book because all of her books take place on Nantucket or are super summery. So I wanna give another one of her books a try for the summer. And that one sounds interesting because apparently her husband was living like this second life in Cancun. So she goes to Cancun and rediscovers all the secrets or something like that. I think, I'm not sure. And then possibly See You Yesterday by Rachel Lynn Solomon because I read Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, and this cover is so cute. See You Yesterday, but it's basically like a Groundhog Day type trope where she has to relive the first day of college over and over again, which whenever you hear that, you're kind of like, how is this book not gonna get repetitive and boring? But I've liked some of her books in the past, so. And then if I'm really good, I'll read Legendary, the second book in the Caraval series, and The Poppy War because I've had those on my shelf for so long, but we'll see if I'm in the mood for that because you never know, I might just start reading summer books. Comment down below what you wanna read in May and follow me on Instagram and TikTok and my main channel, Pham, and I'll see you guys somewhere else on the internet. Bye!